Hi, I'm Richard Redmond, host of The Play's the Thing. We start off tonight with a short one-act play titled Yesterday, written by Colin Campbell Clemens. Say that 3 times fast. The scene takes place in a little alcove off the main ballroom in a mansion. The occasion, a debutante ball, a coming-out party, where 2 long-lost lovers meet after years of separation. To quote Alfred Tennyson, "I hold it true, whatever befall. I feel it when I sorrow most. 'Tis better to have loved than lost, than never to have loved at all."
Oh dear, how things have changed. How things have changed. I should never have thought it possible.
Rot. Silly rot. Idiots. What is the world coming? I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. I thought I was quite alone.
You were speaking of the dancing.
Yes, quite right. My word, it's preposterous, isn't it?
You mean it's so unconventional?
That's hardly the word for it. Hardly the word for it.
Oh, coming out parties aren't what they used to be, not when...
Coming out. Coming out. My word, nobody seems to be in these days.
I was referring to the young ladies. The young ladies.
Exactly. The young ladies. My word, there doesn't seem to be much left for them to come out of. Egad, they seem to be all arms and legs and limbs.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Oh, I see you're wearing a pin from the military. Were you in the Army?
Marines.
Oh, what was your rank? Private? Sergeant?
General, madam. General.
Oh, General. Pardon my mistake. We were speaking of the dancing. The world moves so quickly nowadays, I suppose the dancers have to keep up with the world.
The world, running away with itself.
It was different when we were young, but we must be tolerant. We're old people now.
Old? I beg your pardon. Not old, madam. Not really old. Middle-aged, perhaps, yes. Middle-aged, but not old.
Oh, yes, that's it. Middle-aged.
It goes that unspeakable music again. That infernal racket. It's awful. Yes, I dare say you are right. Quite right. Times do change. But we must accept the facts because we're going backward rather than forward.
Unfortunately.
I had hoped when I accepted the invitation for this ball tonight that I would find something to remind me, even remotely, of my youth. But, on my word, they've even done over the house.
Oh, you've been here before?
Yes, done over the house, and in this horrible modern way, too.
No. You see, I know this house quite well, and nothing's been changed. Nothing.
Nothing changed? Really? Well, it seems changed. Yes, it seems changed. Perhaps it is I who have changed. Perhaps it is I who have changed.
Perhaps. Well, when one grows old, then...
Old, madam? Old?
I meant middle-aged. When one reaches a certain age...
Middle-aged? Why, I'm just in the prime of my life. Just in the prime. Don't feel a day over 20. Not a day. Why, at the Officers Club, they still call me Richard.
Richard?
Yes, and at the Legion, they call me Dick. Not to my face, mind you, but they do call me Dick.
Richard? Officers Club, may I ask?
Yes, that's it, Ted. So you see, I'm not so old, madam. Of course, I have accomplished a great deal during the short term I have been in the service. That is, the Marines. It's 41 years ago tomorrow that I went out, and I've seen service. My word, for a young chap, I've seen service.
41 years? 41 years ago?
Yes, quite right. And as I was saying, I had hoped to find something of my youth here. Some of the old nooks and corners and faces. Some of the old familiar faces. One in particular.
Then you...
Oh dear, yes, exceedingly so. I suppose every youngster is until he gets sense. I was very much in love at the time. Foolishly so. Couldn't live without her. And all that sort of thing. She was a snappy little thing. Clever. Pretty. Very pretty, as I remember. Blue eyes and golden hair. That sort of girl.
But you quite forgot her when you went away.
Yes, I quite forgot her. Quite forgot her. Life in the military is strenuous, you know. Besides, there's hunting, golf, and that sort of thing.
And married someone else?
Never! Oh, I beg your pardon. No, I never married. Hadn't the time, as a matter of fact.
And the young lady?
Oh, I dare say she is the mother of a large family now. Oh dear me, how times do change. As I was saying, I was very much in love with her at the time. At the time, you understand. But the family, her family, you understand, rather objected to me. So I joined the service, broke the whole affair off, and I've been quite content since, quite content.
And you haven't tried to see the young lady since you've returned here?
See her? See her? Oh dear, no. It might be rather embarrassing for both of us. See, we were practically engaged at the time. That is, I hadn't come right down to asking, but you know how some things are understood, so to speak.
But you went away and left.
Not exactly left her. Let me see. As I recall it, I believe I did ask her to marry me.
And she refused.
Let me see. Did she refuse? Oh, now I remember. She said we would have to think it all over very carefully. Yes, her very words, very carefully. I remember how she wrinkled up her little snub nose.
Sir, that is...
Yeah, yes, her little snub nose. Oh, mind you, it was a nice little nose.
And did you think it over carefully? Very carefully?
Not at all. I was a bit of a wild dog in those days. You know, like most young men. My pride was hurt. I was a proud young fellow. Like most young men, you understand. Of course, I expected her to fall in my arms and live there happily ever after. That is, not in my arms, you know, but...
As your wife, I understand.
Yes, as my wife.
You were a romantic youth.
Oh, exceedingly so. I believe I must have been reading romantic novels at the time. Rubbish.
And you lost all trace of the young lady?
Yes, I was a conceited thing, you know, like most young men. Wouldn't have written for worlds. Several years afterward, I read in the Times that Anne...
Anne?
Yes, Anne. Anne, pretty name, isn't it? I was always fond of the name. As I was saying, several years afterward, I read in the Times that she had gone to Florence with her father. And since then, nothing.
And so your romance ended.
It will never... Oh, yes, quite so. It ended.
And you never married?
No, hadn't the time. Always busy. Oh, I did think of it now and then. Not often, mind you, but now and then. Life in the military does get lonely at times.
Oh?
But yes, I do think a man should get married. Indeed, yes. Yes, indeed. I did need someone to take care of me. Someone to...
You've outgrown that need?
Oh, yes, quite. My man is very capable. Quite. There goes that infernal racket again.
Why, it's a waltz. Yes, a waltz. Ah, those were happy days. Music brings back so many memories. And the young people are happy. I could dance and laugh like that 42 years ago.
You? Really?
Yes, right here in this house. 42 years ago.
42 years ago? So long ago as that?
Is it so long ago?
42 years. 42 years. I say, we must have known each other then.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Do you know, I believe I didn't catch your name. Awfully stupid of me, awfully. I have the pleasure of...
Perhaps we did know each other then. And again, perhaps we didn't.
Quite right. And you've lived in ever since?
No, after you left. That is, I have lived away from here a great deal. I have a small villa near Florence.
Have you really? Delightful place, Florence.
Yes, though it can be a little lonely.
Is it really? You know, I had always thought of it as being quite gay. That only goes to show you how mistaken one can be.
Yes.
But
I
I suppose you have your children about you and all that sort of thing.
No, I never married.
That's a bit unusual, isn't it?
Is it?
And I suppose you never will?
No. No.
You know, oh, there goes that infernal music again.
Yes. Yes. Perhaps we should join the company, Colonel. I mean, General.
General Richard Farrington.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
And may I have the pleasure of knowing to whom I am indebted for a very pleasant half hour? May I have the pleasure of knowing to whom I have been speaking?
Why, yes. I'm Miss Ann Travers.
Ann Travers? Not Ann?
Yes, Richard.
My word! God bless my soul! Ann Travers? Ann Travers! I might have known you the moment I saw you, but, oh my word, I don't see as well as I used to. That is, not quite as well. Ann Travers! And to think that after all these years, and in this very house...
Yes, Richard.
Ann, you said you never married?
Never married, no.
But I thought...
You were mistaken. It was you I loved then.
And when you said we must think it all over very carefully, you really meant?
Yes, I really meant.
How isn't that just like a woman? Isn't that just like a woman?
Is it?
Ah, me. Those were happy days then.
Those were happy days. Yes.
Yes, yes. Isn't that a waltz they're playing?
A waltz, yes.
Ann, will you finish this waltz with me?
Yes, Richard.
I guess they lived happily ever after. Next, a short play titled Emergency. Now, what would you do? You're home, all alone, and you start getting chest pains. Why, you'd reach for a telephone and call for help. Yeah, well, good luck with today's modern phone system. Remember when humans used to answer the phone? For the good old days.
Welcome to the new automated emergency telephone system designed to better serve our community and its citizens. Please listen carefully to the following menu of options. If you are calling from a touch-tone phone, press 1. If you are calling from an old-fashioned rotary phone, please hang up immediately and walk or run to the nearest hospital or fire station. Please indicate the nature of your call. If this is a police emergency, press 1. If you are in or near a burning building, press 2. If this is a trivial matter that can wait until normal business hours, such as a barking dog or a neighbor's junk-filled front lawn, press 3. If this is a medical emergency, press 4. If you are a friend or neighbor of the person having the medical emergency, press 1. If you are the spouse of the person having the medical emergency, and please bear in mind that in this state a spouse can only be a human individual of the opposite sex, press 2. If you are the person experiencing the medical emergency, press 3. If this is a minor complaint or something psychosomatic or what is commonly referred to as mind over matter, press 1. If this is the result of a self-inflicted wound, press 2. If this is a spiritual complaint, press 3. If this is the result of criminal activity, press 4 to return to the original menu and then press 1 for police emergency. If this is a life-threatening illness or symptom, press 5. If you are conscious, press 1. Please indicate the symptoms you are experiencing. If you have had sunstroke or heat stroke, which is most likely to occur in hot weather, press 1. If it's the winter and you broke something skiing or snowboarding, press 2. Do you have intense stomach pains due to food poisoning or overindulging in an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet? If so, press 3. Is there a sharp pain in the lower right side of your abdomen? If so, press 4. If you've taken Viagra and it's been 4 hours or more, and you are suffering from a condition commonly known as priapism, Nurse Thornton is waiting for your call and will be happy to serve you. Press 5. Are you the victim of drowning? No, in that case you wouldn't be phoning. If you are experiencing shortness of breath, pain in the chest, and numbness in an extremity, press 6. If you have medical insurance, press 1. If you are covered by a federal, state, or local medical plan, press 2. If you have no insurance of any kind, press 3. Chew 1 adult-strength aspirin tablet immediately, then repeat after me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
He should have walked to the hospital. It would have been faster. Now for a Shakespeare moment. 2 monologues. The first one from King Richard III, where Richard, the Duke of York, delivers the opening scene. The monologue, "Now is the winter of our discontent."
Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fight the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasings of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sport of tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking-glass, I that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed and finished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to see my shadow in the sun and descant on my own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, by drunken prophecies, libels, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, then this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs the murderer shall be. I have thoughts down to my soul, here Clarence comes.
Next, The Winter's Tale. Hermione, the wife of the king, was thrown in jail and brought to trial for adultery, despite the words of the Delphic oracle that proclaimed she was innocent. While in prison, she gave birth to a daughter, which the king immediately disowned. Her monologue is delivered before a court of justice.
Sir, spare your threats. The bug which you would fright me with I seek. To me can life be no commodity. The crown and comfort of my life, your favor I give it lost, but know not how it went. My second joy and first fruits of my body, from his presence I am barred like one infectious. My third comfort, starred most unluckily, is from my breast the innocent milk in its most innocent mouth, haled out to murder. Myself proclaimed a strumpet on every post. With immodest hatred the childbed privilege denied, which longs to women of all fashion. And lastly, I am hurried here before I have got strength of limit. Now, my liege, tell me what blessings I have still alive that I should fear to die. Therefore proceed. But yet hear this, mistake me not. No life, I prize it not a straw, but for mine honor, which I shall set free if I shall be condemned upon surmises, all proof sleeping else but what your jealousies awake. I tell you 'tis rigor, not law. Your honors all, I do refer me to the oracle. Apollo be my judge.